Good morning, everybody, and this is Imaginary Dreams for day 6 in Figuary. And today's lesson from the guys at Love Life Drawing is Wilder Stories. This is sort of a continuation from the previous lessons of line of action or the story of the pose, that there might be more ways to interpret a pose to give it a more exaggerative story, since sometimes and in sort of 2D animation we don't want the most accurate real life movements per se, but to exaggerate real life to make it look more fantastic and more amazing for the viewers. So in this case, it's less about me sort of critiquing and my own drawings, but to try to find what are these wilder stories now that I have more time to look at each of the poses compared to like trying to quickly sketch out each pose within 1 minute. And so let's get started then. Now, with this first pose, and almost how I feel with every figurine drawing that I do, the first one is always sometimes the weakest, and that's just how warm-ups go. That's why people who draw needs to warm up their body, do some drawings sometimes. So here, if we look at the torso, you can see there's just the back that's just fairly straightforward down. But then if we try to look at the arms, is pointing with the head down straight here, and from the arms it goes down to the legs and down some more to the ground, while this other leg kind of just flows with the rest of the body, so it doesn't do too much. And I'll just straight up and say I'm not able to follow the flow that I've just drawn here, and simply just do better next time. That's all it is. So let's see for the next one. And sadly, I think it's this day that I keep making the same mistake as not giving enough space. So that's really troublesome for me. But here, looking at the torso once again, body is fairly straightforward, curving down, but we have a very strong arm holding her here, and it's as if she's about to fall, but she's holding herself up. Arms over her head, giving us a nice box. But at some point, I do feel almost like this arm is going and then giving us this sort of opposite L shape. But the back is still has this sharp angle to it, so I thought it was still important to keep it there. Though I really failed on the legs, seeing that I did not make enough space for the feet. But this is still not so good. So let's quickly move on to the next pose and see what else I can look for. Now with the third pose, I finally am able to put down enough room for the feet. Then now that we start at the feet, I must take notice a little bit more care of where these feet are actually standing on in a perspective grid. Here it's as if they're on the same plane when in fact one foot is obviously much further away than the other foot. If we were to sort of draw a perspective line, this foot would be much further behind. So must take care of that. We have again a very strong line from this arm going all the way down here, and another line for this arm with a strong curve down. And I think this pose kind of works a little bit better compared to the first two. First two is horrible, but this one is now working into the lesson of wilder stories. Able to sketch out the arm fairly okay and letting it flow down while the other arm intersects and then goes in with the sharp angles of the other side of the body. I would want to be able to have enough time to sketch out the face. Here I just made it straightforward when in fact excuse me, should be a little bit on an angle as so. So for next time. On to the next pose, another straightforward, but once again messed up with the legs. Quite unfortunate, it made her a little bit slimmer than real life. But even though it seems like she's standing straight, you can see that there's this harder curve over here, and on the other side it's a little bit smooth, and one of her legs is actually sort of coming forward compared to the other leg that is simply straight down. And here I think I did kind of okay with the legs, not so much with the body. And let's look a little bit on the shoulders where one side is a little bit lower than the other. I exaggerated that a little bit much, one side over the other. And that is pretty much it. The legs, again, back to the legs where trying to show one side is a little bit in front of the other leg, like overlapping each other. But beyond that, I kind of wish I was able to get this curved angle, while here we just have an inaccurate drawing of the original. And now with the next one, here seems like I wanted to try to show that she's sort of leaning a little bit forward than she actually is with the action line. And so we start with the shoulders, and then her hand comes down here, and then it continues down with the leg and gives us sort of a nice 2 sign right there. And we have her head and feet just straight down below. The hands over here is quite blocked, even the cloth is sort of blocking the way, so there's not much to look for in my opinion, and I don't think there's anything much to say. And with the last pose, once again one side of her leg is sort of pushing forward in front of us, so it goes up and then back down and a little bit forward. This one is straightforward down here, which could be seen going up one side of her arm as the other holds the stick strongly and firmly. And sadly, I don't really see like a clear Wilder story as they try to explain it. Once again, I did a terrible job with the feet. I'm really disappointed with my own performance with today's SketchUp. But I don't see much story to be told here. It's just my own lack of experience, I suppose, compared to the previous poses in today's set. That is, I think, much clearer and better to try to sketch out. This just seems like the standard straight pose, beyond like one leg coming forward while the other leg is straight, which kind of connects to the arm. Like if that's all there is, then okay. But I would imagine, or I would imagine that there is something more to it. But that would conclude the end of our episode. And be sure to see the original videos, of course, at Love Life Drawing and CroquisCafe. And I hope to see you all tomorrow. Good night.